and conversational pathways. To do this, I'm going to go through each node in this template and explain what it does. So in any conversational pathway, we have the start node, and you can see it has the flag that says default. So if you double click it, you'll be brought into the node editor. So if you click the drop down, you can see we have the different type of nodes. We're going to be covering the most useful ones in further lessons, but just know that each node serves its own function. Here we can write the name of the node. If I were to write begin in the name and then I go all the way down and hit save, you can see this node is now called begin. I'm just going to change this back to start. Then we have the option for static text, or actually to give AI instructions. So now with the default node, we have the option to use AI to respond. So for instance, when this AI agent called us in the previous lesson, you could hear that it greeted us with, "Hey there, this is not Bland Bistro reservation line. Do you want to make a reservation?" So every time the call started, it says this exact line. Now, if we wanted, we could turn the static text off and then we could give it a prompt. We could say, "Greet the user and welcome them to Bland, not Bistro. Ask them if they want a reservation." So now, if I were to save this and then have it call me and I answer, "Hello?"
Hello. Welcome to Bland Not Bistro. How can I help you? Would you like to make a reservation?
You can see it didn't say the exact line that I was saying before, and it took a bit of time, and that's because it's using AI to craft a response based on how we've instructed it in this prompt box. Now I'm just going to go ahead and switch this back to static text and go with, "Hey, this is Bland Not Bistro. Would you like to make a reservation?" Next, we have a loop condition. Now, I'm not going to cover what this is within this node because we're not using it. Same with the global node. I'll mention these later down the line. Then we have advanced options. So since this is the more advanced section of the courses, you should have been through demo builds, you should have been through AI outreach, and you should understand what the temperature is in an AI model. So that's the same thing that we can set here. Closer to 1 is more creative, closer to 0 is more deterministic, and it has more predictable responses. Then we can also select the model type. We have the option of a higher speed model, a balanced in speed and intelligence model, a higher speed with decent intelligence model, and then the higher intelligence model. Now, for something like a simple prompt like we had earlier, which is just a greeting, you would want to put something like a higher speed model. You really only want to enable higher intelligence models when it has to make an intelligent decision about a response, which is what I'll touch on in another lesson. Then we have the dynamic interruption threshold. So if you just enable this, we can set a threshold. Now again, you should have been through the AI phone caller workshop where we show a simple demo of Bland, and this is just that same value. The lower this is, the more immediate the AI will respond and not wait for pauses in the user's statements, so it might interrupt more. As you can see here, this will update the interruption threshold from this node onwards. Then we have the option to skip a user's response. So if we enabled this, the conversation would start at this node and immediately go to the next one, not waiting for a user's response. I'm just going to go ahead and disable this as there's not really a use case here. Then we could also block interruptions. So if the AI is speaking and I were to try to speak over her while she's speaking, right now the AI would stop, it would get interrupted. If you turned this on, the AI would never let the human interrupt and it would just continue to speak and finish its sentence. This is something you want to play with and test for yourself to see how you like the conversation to be carried out. Then we have the option to extract call info into variables. This is a more advanced feature, so I'll cover this a little bit more down the line. Same with fine-tuning examples. But just quickly to mention fine-tuning examples, this is what I want you to think of as few-shot prompting. Whenever we try to train an AI in the courses, we use a few examples of Q&A, and this is where you could add that here. If you found that your AI is kind of messing up on a certain type of response and you wanted to program in and give it some examples of how it should respond. We're just going to ignore unit tests, and that covers the default node, specifically at the start flag. Next, I want you to notice on each path between nodes, there's this little card that has a label. If we were to go and click this little pencil to edit it, you can see that this is a description of when this pathway should be chosen. So for here, it says user responded. So when a user responds, this pathway should be taken. Below we have a description where we can provide more information and describe when this pathway should be chosen. As you can see here, it's optional but gives the agent more context about when to choose this pathway. I just want you to know, with any time you're adding more prompts or more computational thinking that the AI has to do, it will cause the responses to take longer. Then we have advanced settings where we could compare a variable with something that the AI captured. Don't worry about this now. Again, I'll get more into those concepts later.